Druidry based. I'm going to invite us to do a Modern Druidry based piece of the quarters. And I'm very mindful that I think it was until the 80s, anything that was seen as occult was actually illegal in the UK. And in the 16th century, anyone who was overtly against the church was either witch hunted or put in a madhouse and tortured under the auspices of them being mentally unwell. And so I'm very mindful of the fact that we're now in the 21st century where we can practice this. There's a very small amount of people who actually identify as druids or pagans, really, when we think about the population of the world. And modern druidry is in itself modern. It's 300 years old, you know, at best. But there are tendrils of memories that connect us to something that's much earlier. And there's a connectivity where we connect to the associations, so the elements, which are as old as the Big Bang and before, and then also the wisdom of other animals that are associated with different points on the cardinal map. So in those senses, what we're connecting to is very ancient and it's non-human. And I think also I'm very mindful of my identity as someone who identifies as someone practicing earth-based spirituality that has a framework of druidry, and that matters to me, that I can practice certain rituals that help me connect to the non-human world. And that, like with the dolls, you know, I value and I honor and I cherish that I can do that in relative safety in my culture, and that I'm so glad that I'm not a woman practicing non-Christian beliefs and rituals 500 years ago. And so I'm very, very mindful of the layers. Which Russian doll am I, and where does that fit within the greater whole? And that culture, identity, ritual, spirituality, and earth that is constantly, as it is and always has been since the beginnings of amoebas, are weaving something together that I am embodying just for this short while I'm in my body. And so thank you, Paul, for bringing all of that. So with the practice, if you've got in front of you a piece of paper, that's great. If not, and you just happen to have 4 things, that just a little portable size things, maybe a little rock or a cone, pine cone, or whatever it is that you happen to collect, and I invite you to put them in front of you, or draw a circle with a vague idea, unless you're very specifically aware of the cardinal points, and they are north, east, south, and west, just so that you have it in front of you. So for me, it's the equinox today. It's for everybody, it's the equinox today. But and so for me, it's very significant, because this morning I went out and I watched the sunrise, and it rose exactly on the corner of my house. So where you see those pipes is east, and directly opposite is west. So the sun rose over there this morning, and it's going to set over there. South is over in the other corner of my house, and north is pretty much right in front of me. And so I wondered just for a moment if you would like to have a think about whether you noticed recent sun movements, and whether you can just ground yourself in being, like Paul's picture, on a globe in direct relationship to the sun. And there it is. And we're going to offer an invitation of peace. And in the Druid tradition, what we do is we enter into a circle, and the circle is a sacred space. We enter in through the west, and then we walk clockwise to the east. Because in Druid tradition, the day begins at sundown, And just like when a baby is gestating inside the mother's womb, there's a period of darkness before the birth, and life begins in darkness. So in the West, we enter in at the West, and we walk clockwise around the north, which represents the darkness and the midwinter sun. And we stand at the east, and we look outwards from the circle, and we imagine that we see the dawn rising. And with the dawn comes a hawk. And again, this is just the Northern European Modern Druidry associations. There are many, many different medicine wheels of the year, all different types of associations. So depending on where your biosphere is, I think we're all British here. I think we're all in Britain or in Europe. So we would have a very similar biosphere with very similar animals. But if for instance, you're in South America, it would be the jaguar and the hummingbird. And in other places, it would be the kangaroo and the wallaby or other animals like that. So with us in the Northern Hemisphere, we're watching the hawk. And as the dawn rises, the hawk takes off and hovers above us. And so we turn to the east and we say, welcome the dawn and welcome the hawk of air. And the air is the associated element. And the feelings that come with that on traditional sort of narrative are being able to have a clarity, an overview. You're not down in the muddy, waters. You're not in the valley where all the mess of human existence happens. You're a hawk, and you're witnessing. You're above. You're staying still while the eddies of the air are around you. You're reading something that is non-human. You're touching and being touched by and being held by an element that is wishing for you to be fully who you are. And with that is a great sense of clarity and a sense of knowing in some sort of non-human, logical. It's not about books, it's not about what you've learned, it's just about knowing with a G, a silent G, the gnosis of knowing who you are, that the hawk offers us as the dawn rises. And then as the day goes on, the sun climbs up and day begins, people are out and about, animals go to bed, and we move down to the south. We walk clockwise to the south. And the south is where the midday sun is. It's hot, it's fiery, there's warmth, there's fecundity. This is the period of the day where everything is growing, it's busy, we've got creativity oozing out of us. We get this real shunt of inspiration that makes us do stuff. We suddenly think we know what we're doing, and we go and do it. We've got this kind of reckless creativity. And the representing animal is the stag. He's got this power over the forest, and you occasionally see him just being that place where his animal energy just, is so creative and so very much of his space. And if you imagine his antlers with the sun right between them, blazing between his antlers, right at you. And so the south offers us that kind of adolescent energy where we just know what we want to do and off we go and do it, regardless of how it's going to turn out. And so we turn to the south and we welcome in the south. We welcome in that energy. And then as the sun moves around the sky and it starts to dip down to the west, we're at the twilight just before the night begins. And we're looking now across a deep ocean and the water element. And within the water lies the salmon of wisdom. The salmon of wisdom who knows which river they belong to, that has been handed down from generation after generation after generation, ancestral wisdom, ancestral lines that are deeply connected to the water in which it flows and in which it knows how to move from fresh water into salt water. It knows how to live, how to explore, how to go many thousands of miles from where it spawned, and then coming back up to the river in order to complete the life cycle. There's a wisdom that is partly itself, but very much ancestral. And this is the place where the sun is setting. And we know that we have moved from our birth in the East through adolescence into understanding that on a soul level, we belong to all of those people who came before us. And that the water is a rich, silent depth within us and around us, just like the sun, guiding us. And so we stand in the West and welcome in the West. And then finally the sun is set. And today, half of the day is light and half of the day is darkness. And we are now moving towards the north. And the north is total darkness, where we've harvested of the autumn, we've been in the water, we've reaped the sense of connection to our ancestors and learnt who we are as part of that ancestral flow. And now we're standing in our own extreme old age. We're standing at the place where darkness has fallen. And now we are hibernating like the great bear. And the great bear is both in her cave, resting and sleeping, but also guiding us in the stars. And this great duality of the earth element reminds us that we are part of a cosmological whole, reminds us that not only do we need to return back into the den, but we look up to the starry skies to remember our place in it all, and that we have the pull of both earth being an earthling and also part of the cosmos, and that great bear represents that. And so that's the part in the year in our lives where we are extremely old, where we've done all the living, and now it's time to rest. And with that, we need that energy of sleeping, of resting between lives, of having the great ideas and being creative and learning who we are, and then being ready to just rest and just be ready to let go. And the darkness allows us to do that. So we welcome that into our circle. And so as Druids, we've welcomed in the 4 quarters. And we finally go around one more time. And to the east, we turn to the east with our hands out. May there be peace in the east. And so I just invite you with your piece of paper there, just to maybe just spend a moment saying to your east energy that's going in your direction that you've chosen, may there be peace in the east. And then we move to the south. May there be peace in the south. And to the west, may there be peace in the west. And to the north, may there be peace in the north. And then we turn towards the center of the circle, the great 5th element, the now, the moment that is always and always will be. And into that we feel the energies of the quarters, and we say, may there be peace throughout the whole world. just spend a moment feeling that great wish for peace throughout the whole world. And you are part of the whole world too. So allow that peace, that great wish, to enter into you and enter into everybody in this call. Stretching out across the world. And within that space, within that sacred space, is all of our concern, the disconnect, the fear that we are just repeating history's mistakes, the fatalism, hopes for our community, and the deep pool of despair. All of the elements, all of the associations are there holding all of our worries and fears. And we offer peace to that. And now we have completed the peace prayer. It's time to unwind the circle and thank each element, each animal for giving us their wisdom. So we turn to the north one more time and thank the Great Bear for giving such deep wisdom. And we turn to the west, thank the Salmon of Wisdom for their support. And to the south, Great Stag, and thank him for his energy. And to the east, the Great Hawk, we thank them for their clarity, for their sense of perspective on our lives. And the circle is now uncast, and we walk again back out through the west. And we return back to where we are, sitting in front of our computers, knowing that our sincere peace prayer has gone out to all the quarters, and that the animals came to help us and assist us build that circle of peace, and that the elements also were there in support. So it's 11:11 now, which I think is an auspicious time to end. But I'm glad to have shared that with you, and please remember it anytime you want to just offer